Thematic investing centres around a top-down investment strategy with a focus on broad macroeconomic themes. One of these is the ageing population. Rob Powell joins us now from BlackRock. Rob, welcome. Depending on where you draw the line at where you say people become aged, this is a big group of people, obviously, and of course we do know that we're all dying older, and we've all got more money to spend. How are we, in terms of stats, how are we looking at this?
So if we look at the US as a proxy for the rest of the world, and we think about the numbers of baby boomers, so people over the age of 65, in 2011, the oldest baby boomer hit 65 for the first time. From that day forward, for 10 years, we're going to see 15,000 new baby boomers hit 65 each day. So a massive trend towards aging just in the US, and this is reflected across the rest of the world as well.
There's two sides to this, obviously, in terms of financing, for example, the self-financing, but also the government has a responsibility, doubtless, to look after elderly people that can't afford to do this. In terms of what you're noticing in that area, what are the broad statistics to watch out for?
We see that there's going to be a huge opportunity set for companies that are well positioned to actually help people save for their old age. So it's both companies that are going to be helping people to save in the accumulation phase, so whilst they're working, building up funds so that they can retire. Obviously we've seen a shift back towards the individual to actually manage their retirement savings. So we have that accumulation phase where companies such as wealth management companies can actually help people save. But then also there's the risk management aspect in retirement. So when people are actually decumulating, so people pulling money out of those funds that they've actually built up over the course of their career, there's a huge opportunity set there to actually help people do that too. We're also seeing a trend which is incredibly positive for life insurance companies. People are actually going to have to be paying premiums for a longer amount of time as they're living longer. So you can see the potential benefit for life insurance companies as well. So a very broad opportunity set within the financing sector with regard to ageing population.
The healthcare side of it's going to be very interesting as well, because as we all get older, the chances are we're all going to suffer from some dreadful illness or disease potentially that could upset things.
Yeah, so sadly, as we all know, the older you get, the more likely you are to get a chronic illness. So a chronic illness there are a number of chronic illnesses, so things like cancer and dementia are examples of those. And if we look at some of the stats regarding those diseases in the US, so 85% of adults over the age of 65 in the US have at least one chronic illness, which is quite a scarily high number, I think. But then actually, if you broaden that out to adults that have two chronic illnesses, it's over 50% still. So a huge opportunity there for companies that can actually improve treatment of chronic illnesses to actually benefit. So it's actually looking at companies like cardiovascular companies that are providing new treatments in that area, neurological biosciences companies that are actually trying to treat diseases such as dementia. And if you can actually focus on those kind of companies, then you can actually potentially benefit over the long term.
I noticed as well on the list, interesting enough, there are those not necessarily associated with dire illness, but as we get older, of course, things like joint replacement treatments as well. Obviously another big area potentially.
Yeah, clearly this is a massive area. As people are living longer, there's going to be a higher likelihood that people are going to actually have to replace joints such as hips. So companies that can do that more efficiently and more cost effectively going forwards are going to benefit.
What about the aged cover as we get into extreme age? Presumably opens up another opportunity list for investors.
Yeah, absolutely. So aged care is how we would term it. So it's looking after people into old age. So there's going to be a huge move in the future as the proportion of adults that require round-the-clock care increases. Society is actually going to have to change the way that those people live. So there's going to be new retirement villages that come into being. There's already lots of real estate investment trusts that focus just on retirement villages, for example, and it's accessing those kind of companies that is going to enable you to benefit, partially enable you to benefit from this long-term trend towards an increasing requirement for help in the old age.
Talking about benefit, let's end on a high note and talk about the leisure activities that we're all hoping to run with when we become older. Because this is we've seen this already in large numbers of companies that are now operating in this area, holidays especially, which have now tailored for the over 60, over 70-year-olds.
Yeah, so it's nice to finish on a happy note, I would say. A lot of the news flow around the ageing population theme is negative that we see in the press, but it's all about the opportunities that you can access if you think about different ways to access the theme, and one of them is through leisure. The sheer numbers and the spending power of people over the age of 65 is huge. So in the next 20 years or so, we expect the spending power of people over the age of 60 to actually be greater than the rest of the people across the world, so people under the age of 60, so a huge shift. And they're going to be spending their money on things like going on cruises, living longer, fuller lives. So it's about accessing that leisure and consumer theme within the ageing population trend as well.
So stepping back from all this, how do we access this thematic idea of investing?
So I suppose it's about taking a broad yet focused approach. And if you can focus on a fund or exposure which gives you exposure to the sub-themes that we've talked about, so leisure, financing, looking after people in old age, so ageing care, and healthcare, so coming up with new treatments for people who are ageing and treating chronic illnesses, then you'll have access to a broad yet focused basket of stocks which enables you to benefit from the ageing population trend.
Okay, all right, Rob, thanks indeed for joining us, taking a look at this aspect of thematic investing. That was Rob Powell from BlackRock there, taking a look at the ageing population and how to benefit.